Hello. Thank you for joining us for 2 Minutes for Glory. Are you a believer? Being a believer sets you apart by everybody else in the world that is a non-believer. Do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe he was the one that was promised? If you do believe, there's more to being a Christian than just being a believer. There's also being a confessor. In Matthew chapter 10, verse 28, this is what Jesus said. He tells us not to be afraid to talk about himself. Do not fear those who could kill the body but are unable to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both the soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for 1 cent, and yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father, but the very hairs of your head are numbered. So do not fear, you are more valuable than many sparrows. Therefore, everyone who confesses me before men, I will confess him before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father who is in heaven. Jesus said, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to talk about him. Don't be afraid to talk about Jesus. And then he tells us, don't be afraid. He says, God cares for us. He says, not one sparrow dies in the world without God knowing. He says, you're worth far more than many sparrows. He says, I know how many hairs are on your head. But then he talks about being a confessor. He says, everyone who confesses me before men, I will also confess him before my Father who is in heaven. You see, you come to this point where you believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Messiah, salvation. And then you have to ask yourself, are you ready to go from being a believer to a confessor? Are you going to tell people about Jesus Christ? Are you going to tell people? Are you going to act such a way? If you're a believer, someone probably shared the gospel with you. Some Sunday school teacher, somebody took time to tell you about Jesus. The problem is we're dropping the ball. We're taking that belief and we're dropping it. We're not sharing it with someone else. We're not confessing Jesus Christ to other people. And because of that, people aren't believing. People need to know Jesus. So many people don't know his story. So many people don't have an idea of what the Christ is, what the Messiah is, about who Jesus is, what it means to be a believer. I want us to be confessors. Therefore, everyone who confesses me before men, I will also confess him before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father who is in heaven. I want you to be a believer, but I want you to take that extra step, and I want you to be a confessor. I want you to be a person that tells people about Jesus Christ, that tells people that he's the Lord, the Christ, the Messiah. He's the one that humanity waited for, and because of Jesus Christ, you can have everlasting life. Thank you for joining us for 2 Minutes for Glory. Have a good day, and God bless. Bye-bye.